The Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, Farmers Insurance Open DraftKings picks and preview. I don't know if there's still space in the Pat Mayo Experience Listeners League, the best contest on DraftKings. 1,000 spots this week, sold out in less than an hour the past 2 weeks. But if you want to get into the PME Open and play in the no rake contest, $3K first prize this week, $1,000 to second place, $15 to enter, 3 max entry. So even if you only want to play 1 entry, still worth it because no one's playing 150 lineups against you. The link first appears in the audio podcast from my Monday golf show that I do with Jeff Feinberg. So even if you watch the video of the Pat Mayo Experience and all the golf picks, which I recommend you do, also subscribe to the audio podcast, if only to find the link when it drops, because it's so valuable. People selling off their seats to get in because space is limited. You're going to want to get in that. So subscribe to the audio podcast, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, wherever you can download podcasts. And if you need some bucks to play in, there are 2 ways to get your hands on 20 DK dollars this week. Number 1, for the video people out there, smash the like button for the show. Leave your DraftKings handle in the comment section. Let me tell you your 2 favorite plays in the $6,000 area at Torrey Pines. Or if you're an audio listener or just want to get in the mix here, if you leave a review on iTunes, Spotify, or Stitcher after subscribing, leave your DraftKings handle along with your 5-star review and say something nice about the show. You know, I got a bit of time off coming up. I'd like to read something nice about myself instead of going on the internet where everyone seems to hate me. It'd be nice to see some positive feedback from time to time. But let's see if we can get into this, because fantasynational.com is your number 1 resource to find all the stats, lineup generator, ownership projections, over $2.3 million won by members on DraftKings alone last year. And the prize pools this week with Tiger coming back, they juiced up. We got a $5 with a $100K first prize. So let's try to figure this out. From DK Live, nominated for FSWA Golf Writer of the Year over me. I'm pissed, but I have him on the show anyway because he's my buddy. I'm happy for him. It is Geoff Ulrich. What's up, man?
Oh, not much. Thanks for that shout out, Pat. Yeah, no, I mean, second nomination here, second runner-up position, I'm sure, coming up for me, but that's all good. Got a beer glass out of it last time. So, hey, I'm happy to be on the show too. It's baby swag. It's Mayo baby swag week. So can't go wrong this week with the picks. Good week. Tiger's back. I mean, get going.
See, here's the thing. In terms of baby swag, I don't know how this really works out for me because I gave out a parlay on Twitter the day that my baby was born on Friday and it cashed. So I hit both the head-to-heads and made a big bet on the parlay. So I may have used up all my baby swag. I hope not, because if I want to win the $500, that's fine. I'd rather win $100,000. That would really go much further away. But all the tournaments are really awesome. It's nice to see DraftKings step up and pump the prize pools, knowing that Tiger is back and there's no football this week. You got to play some DraftKings contests, right?
I'm just happy I got in the PME Open finally. We're up to 1,000. I tweeted them a couple times, let's just get up to 5K. But I get, slow build to the Masters. We'll get there, right? But there is this ton of good tournaments. The 300's up, the 33's getting up there too. So, and the big $5 back, that's always fun to throw some entries in. So yeah, glad to see the prizes back up.
If the league is full and you did want to play at it, tweet at DraftKings and at DK Live, and you tell them to make the PME Open bigger for next week. I don't want to be hassling people to join up, so don't make me look foolish on this 1,000 entry, but I'm pretty sure we're going to get there by the end of Monday night. So if you're watching this on a Tuesday, then it's probably going to end up being full. Let's talk about the course. We got 2 courses in the rotation this week, Jeff. Torrey Pines South, which people are plenty familiar with. It's where the 2008 U.S. Open transpired. Tiger Woods won. He's won 7 times at this tournament as well, so 8 total. This is a long course, 7,700 yards. Just below that, the longest on tour, par 72. And the players will alternate between the north and south courses the first 2 days. 156 players in the field. The cut will happen after Friday's round, so back to 36. Then both of the weekend rounds will be at that south course. The north course isn't easy, but it's substantially easier than the south course, right?
Yeah, they redesigned it. Tom Weiskopf redesigned it. I think it was 3 years ago now. So ever since the redesign, it's played more like a relatively normal PGA course. It's still a bit of a shorter par 72, but it was the 28th toughest last year. So it's kind of right in the middle. It's definitely not a pushover. You're not seeing guys shoot 61 there, 62 anymore. Jason Day actually did break the course record there. He shot 64 last year, opened with a 73, then shot 64. It kind of gives you an idea, though. You still need your player to shoot low there, but it's not like it's not the walkover that it used to be. And one other trend, I threw this out on Twitter, though, but since 2011, all the winners have started on the South course and then played the North course the second day. So that's a trend to keep an eye on, especially if you're betting, even for DraftKings purposes, because a couple of years, like you've seen basically the entire top five has started South and South North. So that's kind of a big trend for this dual course this week.
The other one, too, if your guy shoots over par on the North course on one of the first 2 days, yet makes the cut, probably not going to win. A winner has not shot over par at the North course at Torrey Pines and won this event since 1983. So it is where you need to do all your damage. Like you mentioned, Jason Day won this event last year. He broke the course record at the North, shooting a 64. So that's where all of his strokes came. He actually didn't play the South all that well. It was fine. He ended up 4 under on the courses over the 3 rounds, but he did all of his damage at the North course. They can go out and put up a big number or a really low number. Then you're looking at what you want to do. Stats-wise, driving distance is really key. 9 of the past 13 winners finished inside the top 25 for the year. We mentioned that South Course is the longest on tour. You're going to have to score on the par 5s because the par 4s, there's 6 of them over 450 yards. That's going to be incredibly difficult to make birdies on. You just want to make your pars and move on because they all play over par. That's how you can stay within the field. And between the 2 courses of the 8 par 3s, 7 of them are over 200 yards. This is a hard tournament to win. We've seen some big names win. Generally bombers. You have your outliers like Brandt Snedeker, who won legit straight up once, then won once in like the craziest storm ever to hit a PGA event. Ben Crane has won this event. Nick Watney has won this event, but generally speaking, it is the cream of the crop, unless your name is Scott Stallings, who just plays well at this course year after year. But let's get into the pricing right away. We go to the very top. We have the winner from 2 years ago, his big breakthrough moment, Jon Rahm is the most expensive player in the field. Top 10s in both events so far on tour this season. He's 11-4. Rory, first time ever playing this course, 11-1. Rose, Tiger, and Jason Day all above $10,000. I'm looking at this, Geoff, and I think I'm in on Rory.
Yeah, I mean, we talked very briefly before the show, but I mean, that was one of the guys we mentioned, and I agree. I mean, look, Rory's come in. We've already got the whole U.S. Rory, like he's going to play the U.S. schedule. And he's just killing it off the tee in Hawaii. And I know it's a bit of a different setup, but I really do kind of like Rory for him. I mean, it's the longer par 4s where, accuracy and power off the tee are going to matter. He generally kills par 5s. I think he's going to like Torrey Pines. I think he's going to like this event. And I just like the motivation from Rory. He came in to play Hawaii event he never plays. Now he's playing Torrey. He obviously wants to get started off well this year, and he wants to get started off big in the U.S. So I'm not afraid of playing him. I think he's going to be a good GPP pick. I think most people will just settle down in the Woods Finau range and use some Jason Day. So I don't think Rory's going to be heavily owned GPPs. I'm definitely going to have exposure there. And then for cash games, I don't think you need to go that high, but Rory's definitely where I'm going to start GPP looking.
Yeah, I think actually of the top 5 guys above $10,000, I usually end up in this sort of situation in an elite field playing 2 of those guys and mixing and matching my lineups. This is where Fantasy National really kicks in with the lineup generator. You can just allocate of your 20 lineups how many you want to see those guys in. Rory will be my most owned, and then I'm going to pay up for Rahm because I don't think that people are going to do that, but he's playing really well coming in. If he can just start making some like 10-foot putts, he would have won at Career Builder, and that kind of goes overlooked because he didn't win, and Adam Long, who no one knew who that was, won. That goes by the wayside. But I like Rory, I like Rahm, and I'll probably end up fading Day, probably end up fading Justin Rose, and probably end up fading Tiger Woods.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna have some Tiger. I feel like you shouldn't fade Tiger this year. I think last year was okay. He made some cuts and stuff, and obviously had some high finishes. I'm a little bit more nervous of fading Tiger, so I'm gonna have some exposure. 100% going to fade Rose. The ball striking was not there last week. I'm still nervous about the iron switch and the completely basically switched every club in his bag. He really kind of got by with scrambling and putting last week, which is a concern because it was an easy course. So he has a pretty good record here. I still think he's going to garner ownership, but I feel more confident with Woods coming in rested, knows this course so well. And I think people are going to look at Tiger's last few years here and be like, oh, he hasn't started well. But you have to remember, he was playing injured. He was playing heavily injured or heavily drugged up, whichever one you want to take. those years. So I'm pretty confident in Tiger. I'm not sure if I'd start a cash game lineup there, but I'd still feel good about putting him in one.
Are we just being morons by not taking Jason Day, who's won this event 2 of the past 4 years?
I mean, yes and no, because his upside is so good and he's like a great POA putter, but at the same time, he's missed 2 of the last 4 cuts here too, right? It's not like he's been the most consistent player at Torrey. He either comes in, dominates the North Course, and then just grinds everyone out over the weekend, or he just misses the cut. So I think it's an okay fade personally. I wouldn't touch him in a cash game here. Especially if he's going to be semi-popular, which he might be because he's cheaper than Tiger, right? So, and he's got that great course history. I'm okay fading him, but obviously if he gets it going again, the upside, is you'll be dead if he wins again. So
there's 6 guys in the $9,000 range this week. One of them rates out number 1 in my statistical model over the past 36 rounds. Would you take a guess at who that man is?
I mean, it's got to be Xander, doesn't it?
It is not. It is Big Ricky Fowler, a.k.a.
Oh.
Tony Finau, who comes in at $9,900. Leishman's $9,700. Then you got Xander, Ricky, Cantlay, and Charles Howell III, along with Gary Woodland, to round out the $9,000 area. I like Leishman and Woodland. I bet those 2. I'm probably going to play them both, but it's really hard to get away from Finau, I think, here. Like, Xander's great, and maybe his course history will suppress his ownership because he's played this event the last 3 years and missed the cut every single time, which is just bananas to think about. But for me, Woodland and Leishman, and then probably a touch of Tony, and I might have to get away from the rest.
Yeah, so this range is, this is like the range. It's just chock full of guys I want to play. It's also where I'd start cash game lineups. You just start with Chuck Howell, obviously. You can go up, you can take Leishman or Finau with them, and that's just such a good pairing. Here's the thing that I worry about a little bit with Finau. Obviously, the stats, he's continuing to be awesome, but he's played so well at this course. I almost wonder if he's played so well that it just gets in his head a little bit this year. Now he's playing with Tiger, and if he gets off to a bad start, I don't know. I'm okay going with the players a little bit cheaper than him in salary. Definitely, like I said, Howell, obviously a cash game play. I'm with you on Leishman and Woodland, especially for bets, although I think I'll probably leave them maybe to in-play bets and just see how they're doing after a day or two, because generally people don't run away here. So this is generally a really good event for in-play betting. That's something else I'd throw out. The guy I really like in this range is Patrick Cantlay, I think. And people might ignore him.
This is exactly what I wanted to get to, because I want to see how the ownership breaks down throughout the course of the week. Yeah. But after a disappointing Sunday when he could have made a move at high ownership at Career Builder against a pretty weak field, to be perfectly honest with you, that I think people might get off of him. And the ball striking was through, the irons were so pure at Career Builder that it was nice to see. He also has 4 consecutive top 10s, which no one really talks about, but the putting just wasn't there. Problem is, he's historically a bad POA putter, despite the fact that he's from California.
Yeah, and definitely, obviously, there's a couple things. People are going to look at the course history. He's only played here twice, but he wasn't awful last year. He was T51, but he was fine until the first. He just kind of had a bad Sunday, which a lot of people eject on Torrey South during the weekend. So I wouldn't really hold that against him. You mentioned he's a California guy. He's had a lot of success at Pebble Beach on POA greens. He played really well at Riviera. I think this is a course he can figure out. And you mentioned the ball strike, and that's what really gets me interested in Patrick Cantlay, right? He's killing it off the tee. And his around the green game has been actually really good over the last 5 or 6 starts too, which has me interested. So I'm all over Cantlay this week. I actually I put a small bet in him. I'm going to make it bigger tomorrow if I get the good side of the draw and he starts off on the South course. But for GPP and I think just overall DraftKings purposes, I really like him this week. He's cheaper than Finau. I feel like Finau, Cantlay, there's just not that much between them. Yeah, neither of them win enough, but ball striking wise, Cantlay is just piping it right now. So I'm definitely in on him in this range too.
Yeah, past 36 rounds, Patrick Cantlay number 1 in the field in strokes gained ball striking, which combines off the tee and strokes gained approach. Will you be taking any shorter hitters, do you think, this week? Because my strategy behind shorter hitters is they have to be good at driving the ball in terms of strokes gained off the tee. Like, they need to keep it in the fairway, but they also need to be good long iron players. Like, those are the 2 things that go together. Like, Snedeker is not even good off the tee. He used to be a lot better than he is now, but he's an excellent long iron player. So those are the type of shorter hitters that I would be targeting here. Like, other than that, like just rolling the dice, I would sort by driving distance. So I'm looking looking at the past 36 rounds right now and driving distance gain, you got Champ and Rory, number 1 and 2, Keith Mitchell, Mullenix, List, Brendan Steele, Sam Burns, Jason Day, Harold Varner. If we're going to go down the list a little bit more or have a tiebreaker, if a guy rates higher in driving distance, that's the guy that I'm going to take this week.
Yeah, and I think for the most part that definitely checks out. You have to make sure, though, you don't want to just take a guy just because he hits it long. I think that's the one mistake that I sometimes make at this event too. And then you get, you could go down and take like Brandon Hagee at 63. He looks attractive because he hits it like 340 off the tee, but he's just in bad form, and the rest of his game sucks, right? So you don't want to just base it off of driving distance. And I 100% agree with you about the shorter hitters. Like a guy like Cam Smith, who's coming off a good ball striking week at the Sony Open, where he was actually pretty accurate off the tee and good strokes gained off the tee. He's totally in play for me this week. Good putting and good scrambling still comes into play here. I mean, you mentioned Snedeker, but other shorter hitters have been very competitive at this. I mean, Jonas Blix was like top 10 here a couple times. If you have the good short game, a good long iron game, you can be really effective on this course. Kevin Streelman's got a good record here too. So I think Cam Smith is definitely a guy I'm looking at. Abraham Answer, who you mentioned strokes gained off the tee, been very accurate lately. He's another guy I'm going to play. Then the guy I think we both agree on, Emiliano Grillo, coming off a great strokes gained approach week at the Sony Open. Traditionally, he's been really accurate. Maybe not the longest hitter, but he is averaging over 300 yards off the tee so far this season. So I like Grillo a lot at 8,100.
So this entire $8,000 range is really tricky because you have the guys that you mentioned that I really like. I like Champ. I like Answer, who I refer to as the Mexican Allen Iverson. Then you have Emiliano Grillo, who I'm big on. But then all of a sudden, who's mixed in there? You have Spieth at 8,900, Reed 87, Cameron Smith at 88, Snedeker and Noren 86 and 84. Hideki is $8,000. You're getting some big name players, high talent players, proven players at cheap discount prices. And I don't know if I want to play any of them because I might end up playing Answer and Grillo and Cameron Champ instead of these guys. It doesn't feel right looking at it. Like seeing all these names next to each other and siding with the guys who are like have been good the past 3 weeks instead of the past 5 years. It's a dicey proposition. And I don't know which way that I really want to lean.
Well, one of these guys is going to it'll probably make us look stupid, right? Like, is someone like Spieth is going to be like top 5 or Reed's going to be top 5 and no one's going to play him. And everyone's going to be like, why didn't we play like 8,700 Patrick Reed, right? So I agree 100%. This range is, obviously we're in on some of these guys, and the recent form, which, you should weigh heavily is with us in that respect. But yeah, man, I mean, like $8,000 for Hideki is absolutely ludicrous. Never thought we'd see the day when Answer's like above Hideki in pricing, but here we are, right? I don't know. I mean, I never play Spieth. I'm not playing Spieth this week. He had the wrist tape on at the Sony, like he was terrible. He's never really been that great a pull putter. I'm just not going there. Reed at this event, he's played it a few times. I just don't know. Again, he likes to spray it off the tee. I just don't think this venue is really conducive to Patrick Reed in the long run. So I'm okay. Noren, I think I'll probably sprinkle in just because I like him as a player and he played so well here last year. I think Snedeker actually might be the play.
I don't know. It's every single year. Snedeker's the play. Snedeker's the play. Like, well, of course, history is stupid. I'm not going to do it. But like, even looking at the numbers, and this is really the interesting part. So I'm looking at the past 36 rounds with Brandt Snedeker. He just pops out at number 72 in this field in my personal model over this. But it weighs par 5 scoring really highly. It also weighs driving distance, not as highly, but it's influential. And we know that Snedeker is not great on those fronts. But what he does do well, gains a ton of strokes around the green, and plays par 4s from 450 to 500 yards, number 6 in the field over that time. I talked about the shorter hitters being good long iron players. That's Brandt Snedeker. And we know what he can do on POA.
Yeah, and it's interesting you bring up the par 4 scoring. I mean, I think a lot of people get fixated on par 5 scoring because it's so important. It is important here because you have to score on make birdies on the par 5s this week or you're done. But traditionally the winners and the top players here have been ranked really high in par 4 scoring for the week. And Snedeker, especially the years he's won, he's like led the field in it. So he really does know how to play the par 4s here. And again, regardless of what side you are in course history, I mean, Brandt Snedeker, on the West Coast. Has just generally been money for most of his career, and he really didn't play that bad to start the year. So I think, especially because I think he's going to get ignored in this range, I think you got to look at him for GPPs. I also can't say I hate Keegan Bradley at 8,300 for the same reason, because I just don't think that many people are going to play him. But I'll probably side with Snedeker on this venue.
Yeah, so I think I'm going to actively fade Spieth, Reed, and Hideki Matsuyama, and I might let ownership dictate where else I go. If one guy is getting a bit too much juice behind him, I might end up fading him, going on to someone like Snedeker or Noren. But Griot's probably my favorite from the range, and then maybe Answer. I'm looking right now at the par 4 scores 450 to 500 in this field over the past 36 rounds, and it goes Woodland number 1, Answer, Finau, Fowler, Hunter Mahan, who has a great track record at this event, Brandt Snedeker, Peter Uihlein, my main man Carlos Ortiz, Justin Rose, Tiger Woods. Those are your top 10 from par 4s in that range. And there's a lot of them, and they're all the hardest holes on the courses.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting you brought up Ortiz, actually. He was on my short list of like bombs to look at. So Mahan at 66, Ortiz at 65. Yeah, those are two. If you want to really get crazy and you got to go down there, I think those are actually names that are playable this week. So especially Ortiz has some length off the tee. So this range is obviously, I don't want to say you can't go wrong, but there's a lot of interest. I'm still really in on Grillo. Shot 67 on Saturday here last year at the South Course. I really think a win's coming for him. So he's going to be my heavily owned player in that range too.
Is there any merit to fading all of the top guys, like even Finau included, and then trying to build a super balanced team of these 8K and low 9K guys?
I think there is this week. I mean, look, this is an event where we do see good winners, but you also see a lot of top players miss the cut. I mean, I remember 2 years ago when Dustin, Day, Tiger, like all the chalk missed the cut. So it happens. And you look back at the course histories of a lot of these players, they have multiple missed cuts. I mean, this is just a tough course, and it's tough at the start of the year because some of these guys haven't got going yet. It's their first time on POA. Like, you will see big names miss the cut. I almost guarantee it this year. So I do think it is a week where you can do that. Obviously, you still got to get the winner, but there's enough big names down here at the 8-9K range that one of these guys could easily pull it off. So yeah, definitely for me, I think it's a week to fade some of the top guys.
With the way that I'm projecting out and some of the players that I'm taking, there was a corollary event to this that I think skill set wise could really go hand in hand with who prevails here. Now, Quail Hollow could be the one because that field is so much stronger. But the week following that, when Aaron Wise won the Byron Nelson, look at this leaderboard and see if this intrigues you at all. Aaron Wise wins, followed by Leishman, Spawn, Mitchell, Grace, Jimmy Walker, Ryan Blum, Adam Scott, Charles Howell, Kevin Tway. They're sort of like the lesser type players in this field, but doesn't that just sound like the types of players that would play well at Torrey Pines too?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, obviously Howell, Walker, both really good course histories. And yeah, I mean, just guys who can obviously get it out there off the tee, good ball strikers all around. And I mean, look, but the Byron Nelson's basically like an open links venue now. So Torrey Pines seaside venue, it's got some trees and stuff, but it's still very wind exposed. Things you should be looking for this week. Obviously you want guys with good recent form, but that type of course history on venues like, I can't remember, Trinity Forest, I think it's called there. Definitely doesn't hurt. So yeah, definitely a leaderboard I think you could probably look at.
7K range is where we're going to make our bones. If we can get this right and our studs come through, we're going to win the bucks. So the first two guys I want to talk about, one is Luke List. Obviously, I'm going to talk about Luke List at a course where off the tee really matters and where scrambling is so difficult. Not bad going with the guy who's one of the premier around the green players in the field, top 30 in that aspect, 8th in driving distance. So maybe it is a Luke List week. It's always a Luke List week to Pat Mayo. So, I've lost all objectivity on it. Aaron Wise is the other one, though. I'm kind of happy he missed the cut last week at Career Builder, $7,800. I have a feeling that everyone is going to play JB Holmes at 79 and Sung J Im at 78. I'm good with fading both of them. Yeah,
I'm probably going to have some Im. God, JB Holmes has just been a money-making machine at this.
He gained like 11 strokes putting on the South Course last year. Like, that's why he was in. But
that's what he does on POA. He putts really well. Like, he makes these bombs. I don't know why. He's one of the biggest POA split putters out there that you'll ever see. It's kind of crazy. It's like 3 or 4 courses every year. But I can get behind a fade just because I do like him. I'm going to have some exposure to him. He's been really good off the tee too. Obviously, it's his first time playing it. There's some risk, if he can't figure out the greens quick enough, it could be a quick exit. But there's just so much upside with him. Wise, I want to get behind the Wise pick. I really do. There's so much potential there. But man, he started the season bad. Like he was not good at Sony at all. So a little surprising because he was pretty good for stretches at the fall. I mean, he's going to get it going eventually. I don't know. I have to see how this range breaks down for ownership percent. I'm not sure if anyone's going to be super highly owned. Maybe Im will be, and I'll get off him a little bit later in the week. But I don't know. I don't feel like this range is going to be uber chalky for anyone. Maybe it will be Im. Maybe it will be Holmes. But Kyle Stanley is the only other name down here that I feel like is going to be super popular and that I really feel like a little bit confident in. I mean, obviously, I'm not going back to Adam Scott. CT Pan's got the nice course history.
I am taking CT Pan at this course. I love CT Pan this week.
I think it makes sense. I mean, we talked about why we like Answer and Grillo. They're consistent and they hit fairways and they're just consistent off the tee. It's pretty much CT Pan's game too. And he's got a really good, like if you look at strokes gained and stuff on this venue last couple of years, he's up there. So again, I mentioned a lot of question marks there. CT Pan is actually a guy who doesn't really have that many question marks. He's just a solid player and he's done well this venue. I will say this. Brandon Grace is kind of intriguing. Is he not at 76? He started the season okay.
Yeah, so here's the thing with Brandon Grace. He popped up on that corollary, if that is a good corollary. If I'm going to go with Leishman and Wise, Brandon Grace is going to pop up. He has a really good short game, but he is the quintessential sort of tough course, long iron, grind it out, long par 3 type player. Just, I don't know where his game is at is the problem.
I mean, I don't either. And like I said, he played okay. I can't remember where they started. Where did they start? Dubai or whatever for the year. I mean, he played okay there, but
like he was T27 last week, and he played in Abu Dhabi, so he's coming halfway around the world.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, he was traveling, right? I mean, it's a little bit of a concern, but at the same time, like Brandon Grace has proven to be a pretty good POA putter himself. I mean, he almost won at Chambers Bay. I think he played pretty well at Pebble last year. I think it was Pebble he played. So he's played this West Coast swing before, and he's done okay. He's played well at Riviera too, I think. So I'm going to be in on some Brandon Grace for sure. I don't know if his game is in top form, but at 7,600, like you said, he's a quintessential like U.S. Open player. This is a U.S. Open course, and at 7,600, look, he made the cut last week. He's not he played that bad. I think you got to get in on him at this price, personally.
I think that he is a pivot play because people aren't going to go to him, so I might throw him in 2 of 20 lineups, but I'm not going to overexpose myself to Brandon Grace because I don't want to get sued by Brandon Grace and have to knock on people's doors when I move. But I think that 10% is fine with me on this course, and if he gets some steam and he's going to be like double digit owned, I'll probably just fade him. But I like those other guys that I mentioned more, and I think that there's a Brandon Grace equivalent who's cheaper that I'm going to end up having more exposure to. But I even talked about with Feinberg on the bet show that like he's 70-1 this week. That sounds like a really good number. He fits this course really well, but I'm like, I don't quite know where he's at. It kind of reminds me of Norton coming in last year, though, doesn't it? Because Norton was like 70. Yeah, but Norton was playing so well last year coming in.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. It's kind of similar situation.
Let's talk Neiman. Joaquin Neiman, I'm in. $7,300. He lost like 5 strokes putting in 1 round at the Stadium course last week.
Yeah, his price went down. No one's going to play him this week.
I'm playing him this week. I bet him this week. I'm going to play him this week on DraftKings.
I mean, I think it's probably the right thing to do to play him. I mean, I like JJ Spawn at this price, but he's probably going to be, he might be twice owned, right? Like, do you really want twice owned JJ Spawn versus Neiman? I don't know. I haven't decided on Neiman, as you can probably tell. I understand the play from a pure value perspective, talent. It's a good bounce back spot for him. It's strokes gained putting. You don't have to putt the lights out here. You just got to strike the ball consistently, get around the South course and not have any blow ups. I can see him bouncing back. I will say this, I like Spawn, and Harris English has been really consistent lately.
Screw Harris English. He's going to be owned because of course history. He will be owned, but he reeks.
Doesn't reek. He's made like 8 cuts in a row. He's a fantastic player.
There are just so many players below him I'd rather play.
Really? Below Harris, you'd rather play? Like who?
All right, so I will list you off. There's 3 guys at $7,000. 2 guys at $7,000.
Let's just cut to the chase. Just pick a guy under Harris English, and we'll throw $50 on it.
Keith Mitchell.
Okay.
I'll even make you 2. You can have Harris English. I'll take Danny Willett and Keith Mitchell.
Okay.
See, Danny Willett is discount Brendan Grace this week.
Yeah, I could see that. Danny Willett. What didn't he play last week?
He did. He was terrible. But as I pointed out to Feinberg, Danny Willett ain't winning no event that's going to be minus 25.
Yeah.
He can win at minus 11.
I mean, the career builder, whatever. Like, I hate that event. So, yeah, I could see Willett bouncing back a little bit. I do like Keith Mitchell this week. I don't think that's a bad pick at all. Yeah, I mean, at 7K, I even would consider Keith Mitchell for like a cash game pick, quite frankly. I mean, there's just not much else consistency-wise down there that I love. So, Keith Mitchell, destroys par fives, really good off the tee. Nothing to hate there, really, right? So,
and the recent form is fine. He melted down on Sunday at Sony, but he was in the mix, and that's not a course where he should be playing really well. Like, this is a course where he should be playing well.
Yeah, I mean, for Keith Mitchell to win at the Sony, he's gonna have to put up like a 65 on Sunday, which, like you said, on that course, for a guy whose strength isn't putting, like it's not likely, right? So, Keith Mitchell here on Sunday, you grind out a 70 and you'll be right there. So, no, I really like him at that price. I really do. And the other reason, there's just not that much else to trust down there. I mean, you got Martin Laird, who's got an okay West Coast record, but like just bombed out after a fast start last week. Chris Kirk, I don't know. Like, there's just not much else to like down there.
So I guess the only other ones for me, actually, do you want to make the bet? We'll just do the $7,300 bet. I'll take Neiman, you take English.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Same price. We'll do it that way. $50. Joaquin Neiman just going to win.
I always lose money when I come on the show during golf. I mean, let's get it off to a good start for you.
So I do like those 2 that I mentioned, the Mitchell and Willett play. 6K range. It's super tough. Watney's down here. He's won this event back when he was awesome, but I don't hate him. Where is, you hit on the name that I do really like. Actually, no, that's not the right guy. Where the hell is he? Where is, see, I spelled it wrong. I tried to spell Streelman and I spelled Steele, but it's Kevin Streelman. The ball striking was good last week, and he is one of those shorter hitters that's going to hit every fairway. I think he hit like 88% of fairways last week, and he plays these long par 3s and long par 5 and these long par 4s really well.
Yeah, no, Streelman, I mean, he kind of fits. He's like a mini answer, right? I mean, he hits a lot of fairways. He's consistent off the tee. Doesn't hit it long, but he's a good long iron player. I mean, you mentioned everything. You'll know if Streelman's going to have a good week right off the bat, because if he starts missing greens here, he ain't going to scramble his way back to par. Like, you can guarantee that. But if he's on ball striking like he was last week, he'll be fine here. So I think 6,800 is a really good price. Other player, kind of similar, Adam Svensson, started off well. He's been consistent off the tee. It's his first time playing, so obviously you're taking some risk. But I like the setup for Svensson this week too. He's from the West Coast. He's from Vancouver, so bit more of a risky play than Streelman, but he started the season well. So
I used him a lot last week. I just worry that this course is too long for him. He does not hit the ball far at all off the tee.
No, I mean, like I said, he's very similar to Streelman in that regard. If he's not hitting fairways here, he's not going to have a good week. But he has been hitting fairways the first 2 events of the year, so it's a good sign. But there's more risk than Streelman. I'll definitely give you that. It does come down to just, we're getting down here where you could play Scott Stallings. I don't know.
Do you want to play Scott Stallings? Because I think
I don't. That's why I brought up Adam Svensson.
I will roll the dice on a few Mullinix lineups, $6,400. That guy does bomb it, and he closed really well in the desert.
Yeah, no, and I think he's made 2 of 2 cuts here. He's made 1 cut or something. So I mean, he's got some experience. We mentioned Ortiz, who's also started the season well. He's got some distance off the tees, played here a couple times. I don't have a problem with that. Alex Prue is kind of
he screwed me so badly last week. It was
did you use him?
I had him. I bet him top 20, but he was in like my main DraftKings lineup, the one that would have been 6 of 6. If he had just made the cut, I would have been at the top of despite not having Phil. I wouldn't have been at the top because I didn't have Phil or Hadwin. But when they didn't win, like I had all of that, like, because I had Rom, because if you're gonna have him, you have to have Rom in there. So I had like Rom, someone else super high. And then Prue, just like I had Svensson in that lineup with Prue because I went ultimate stars and scrubs with it, and just he fucked off. Yeah,
he started well, looked good for a round, and then it went sideways. But he's got a good West Coast record. He's another guy from the West Coast. He's made most of his money in his career playing these West Coast events pretty well. He's got 2 top 10s here, I think. So Definitely guy could get it going. I think I'd probably rather play Ortiz, quite frankly, if I was going to choose between the two. And I definitely like the Mullenix pick. Guy just bombs it. And he's shown he's got like an okay short game at times in his career. So really don't mind that at all.
So the only other guy I'm really looking at, Wyndham Clark, is like third on tour in driving distance in this field. It's really weird.
Yeah.
18th
I hate
last week
Wyndham
too.
Clark. I bet him like 3 times on the web.com tour last year and got in contention. He just kept bombing out, but he is playing pretty well. And he's one of those highly touted college players who everyone just expects, kind of like Aaron Wise. Everyone expects him that he's going to have a really good career, and he's kind of started off well. So bombs it off the tee. I don't know. I'm not going to go that deep, but the talent level's there for him to pop up here if he keeps up with like a good season run. Kind of like Ollie did that one year where he had a couple top 10s in a row. I could see it happening. So,
do you want to go back like in the 6th? Like it's really tough to pick, but if you do pay up for like Rahm or Rory, you might end up in this range if you want anyone else good on your team. So like Sam Ryder's down here. Bronson Burgoon is down here. Just guys that we play every week that are just going to be completely overlooked in this field. Cameron Davis is down here. He actually gained strokes putting on POA versus Bermuda, where he's awful. Finally made the cut last week. He really bombs it out there. 4.6 strokes through approach on the stadium course last week. I mean, the guy really can't putt, but like Sam Burns is another one, another deep driver who's trending upwards right now. Do you have interest in any of these guys?
I think Burns probably. Burns is I think he's got negative POA. I think he's more of a Bermuda putter. So, Cameron Davis. I think I'd probably go Cameron Davis of that group right now. I think, he's a big hitter. Played well last week. I don't love any of those guys as people can. I kind of like Robert Streb at 6,700. That's another name I think I've glossed over. He's got a good record.
Robert Streb has made the cut at this event each of the past 5 years.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's just another sort of people just forget about him. He actually started playing well towards the end of last season too. So I'm kind of expecting a bit of a bounce back season. I mean, the guy's a former tour winner. He's had some top finishes in majors. He's actually really consistent off the tee when he gets it going. So his problem's usually with the putter, but I think he's kind of figured that out. So I might take Streb there over all those guys we just mentioned, quite frankly. So Burgoon should set up well here, but he's been crap for like 3 weeks in a row. So I don't know.
So here are some numbers for you. So two flip sides of the coin. Number one, because you mentioned Burgoon. So I said that there are 7 par 3s that measure over 200 yards between the two courses. So if we just target that range, 200 to 225 yards over the past 36 rounds in this field, here are the top 10 of guys who gain the most strokes on holes from that distance. Number 1, Bronson Burgoon. Number 2, Denny McCarthy, Anders Albertson, Jason Kokrak, Sam Ryder, Chase Wright, Billy Ho, Stuart Sink, Adam Svensson, Rory McIlroy, Harold Varner III. Those are your top 11.
Cokes is on the list.
Snorting the Kokrak?
I gotta get on Cox. I mean, yeah, he's killing it off the tee last week. I didn't even know he played last week. I know he pulled out of the Sony. I didn't even realize he's in the field until I woke up this morning and checked it. But no, look, I mean, a long hitter. He's had success on the West Coast, a couple of venues. Maybe not here, but it should set up well for him if he's striking it well. So I think 7,100. We mentioned some players in that range, obviously, but I definitely throw him in there after last week because I think he was like 7th in strokes gained off the tee, and in driving distance, he was just killing it. So I like that. I
still like Willett in that range, but Schwartzel's in this field. I don't want any part of him, but Steele's there as well. So in a minimum of 3 starts, the guy would have had to start at least 3 times over the past 5 years. Here are the players that have not missed a cut at this event. Finau, Howell, Woodland, JB Holmes, your boy Harris English, Brendan Steele, Robert Streb, and Hunter Mahan. That is an odd group.
This event is just, it's odd. Like like I said, some of the top players just they have like 50% cut rates, and then you go down to guys like Nick Watney, and they just like they never miss a cut here. So it is kind of an odd event for that. Like I said, you're going to see some really strange miscuts. I don't know. It's a good event. I mean, it's an elite field, but it's still early season. The weather sometimes plays a role. The draw with the different courses plays a role sometimes. So you get guys like Mahan and Steele and Kokrak sometimes just pop up here. It's a weird event, quite frankly, with the two courses. It always screws things up a little bit.
Yeah, and then Pebble's next week, or it's Waste Management, then it's Pebble, right? Or is it
Yeah,
Riviera,
and then the
Pebble?
Pebble's just terrible. I hate Pebble Beach.
Yeah, so we won't even get to bet like first round leaders until Phoenix Super Bowl day.
Yeah.
All right. Are you pumped you're going to win Fantasy Golf Writer of the Year? An award I've been nominated for 7 times and never won.
I'm not going to win, Pat, but
I think this is your year to win. So, in full disclosure, I love trying to win these awards, but no one has lost more FSWA awards in the history of the fantasy sports industry than me. Bet that's a fun fact about me. I'm up for 3 more this year.
You're the Susan Lucci. I said, you're the Susan Lucci of the FWSA awards.
14 losses for your boy Pat Mayo at the FSWA. Probably 3 more upcoming here. So I've lost that one a bunch of times. I have a good feeling you're going to win. Bergerson's up for it too. And so is Brandon from the site that shall not be named, although he's a great guy and has a great podcast. I do a Golf Digest article with him every single week, but you 3 are for the award. All great writers. I don't know who to root for. I'm going to root for you because I'm talking to you right now, but I'd be happy to see any one of the 3 of you win. Well deserving.
I'm glad I got nominated. I'm a little mad I didn't get nominated for the blurb writing award too, because I do put a lot of effort into my blurbs on DK Live.
Download the DK Live app, but I'm sorry, Garion has his pinned tweet right now is a blurb that he wrote in the preseason, and if he didn't get nominated, I don't know how they picked that category.
That's true. Garion is like he mixes in pop. Yeah, never mind. I'll just take the golf writing award, Pat. Never mind. I won't be greedy. Sorry.
Listen. If people can vote on this, I can't. It's like 3 people who voted on it, I think.
Yeah.
I'm rooting for you, despite the fact that
Thanks,
we both
buddy.
publish golf columns on the same site, DKPlaybook.com.
Well, wait a sec. Wait, you got nominated for like Daily Fantasy Writer of the Award. So
yeah. So I got nominated for Daily Fantasy Sports Writer of the Year by only submitting golf columns, yet did not get nominated for Golf Writer of the Year.
That makes a lot of sense. Anyways,
this is how it works. We're just pumping our own tires now. So I gotta get back. Gotta get back to my wife. She let me out of the house for 2 hours. So I just checked in on the PME Open, the video for the first show. Because in full disclosure, I'm recording this right after I recorded the show with Geoff. It's over half full in 24 minutes. So probably not gonna make it to today.
I'm just glad I got my entry, and you can DM me on Twitter if you want to buy it off me. 10 times. 10 times is what I'm looking for.
That's not bad. You can sell off of your $15 seat for $150.
Oh yeah.
So if you want to get into the PME Open on DraftKings, the best tournament on DraftKings, you need to tweet at DraftKings at DK Live and tell them to make it bigger, because apparently 1,000 spots is not enough. Do you think we can get to 10,000 by the Masters?
I can't tweet at them anymore because they're just going to get mad at me, and I want to keep doing these shows. So yeah, other people tweet. We should be able to get to 10K by the Masters. I think a 5K would fill right now. So, just, ask nicely though. Ask semi-nicely, and we'll get there.
All right. That will do it on the Pat Mayo Experience. My cheat sheet, when I actually boil down these picks, are going to be up on DKPlaybook.com. I believe on Tuesday evening. My betting cheat sheet will come out on Wednesday. Throughout the week, we got some baseball shows and then a 3-hour-long best of Cuss Corner from the year on Friday. So there's a lot to look forward to. The Pat Mayo Experience, well, I might be on paternity leave. I'll be back in for like 1 or 2 new shows a week. It's still going to be every day. This is how we do it over here. It's a content factory. I planned ahead 6 months ahead of time to make sure that shows would be coming out while I was away. So we're not going to miss a beat. And hopefully we can win some cash this week. Big prize pools on DraftKings for the Farmers Insurance Open. And I'm going to be using Fantasy National to make my lineups, and I think you should too. It's a great week to get in. If you've been on the fence, get a weekly membership. Go test it out. I mean, the yearly is the better deal, but the $8 weekly membership is a great place to start, especially if you're playing, like $20 or more per week on DraftKings. I would highly recommend it. It's the only site that you really need to go to. A great companion piece for these shows. Check out the Feinberg Show for Monday too, where we talk about all of the odds and betting numbers for the field. Geoff, tell everyone where they can find you and find your work.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously the articles I write, I've been writing it since, I can't even remember, I think 2015, up on the DK Playbook, and obviously download the DK Live app. You can get the golf updates and updates for other sports as they're going on. It's a great app, but definitely check out the DK Playbook. Really appreciate, should say, anyone who watches the show and reads my article for supporting it, because obviously it wouldn't happen if people didn't actually read it. So appreciate that.
Yeah, FSWA Golf Writer of the Year finalist. Best of luck to you, Mr. Geoff Ulrich. Bad luck for me because I'm not nominated, so I'm not going to win. That's a bet. I think I can actually win. I won't win this year.
I think you'll win at least one.
It's never going to happen. It's not going to happen
No,
for
you're
me.
gonna win one.
It's almost better that I lose at this point. That's what I've told myself.
Well, I mean, you can rack up so many losses that you'll be known for your losses, right? So
Exactly. That
either way,
will, that will make me notable. Anyway, that will do it on the Pat Mayo Experience. Download the audio podcast if you want to get into the Listeners League. That's where it appears first. Reason enough to do it. Smash the like button for this episode. Leave your DraftKings handle in the comments section. Give me your 2 favorite plays in the 6K range, and boom, you're in a draw for 20 DK bucks. Only have the audio? Well, rate, review, and subscribe. And in that review, leave your DraftKings handle, something nice about the show, and you too are in a draw for 20 DK dollars. I'll announce the winner on next Monday's show for the Waste Management Open with Geoff Feinberg. Thank you all for watching. Enjoy Tiger Week. He's back, and there's giant prize pools. So someone go win it and then tweet it to me, and I'll get it out there to the world, and you'll get the credit you deserve along with the cash. Pat Mayo, I'll see you next time.
Pat Mayo Experience! Experience!